I'm Darrenisha Heron in Austin. It's been 1 year since Central Texans saw catastrophic flooding across the hill country. Within hours, heavy rain caused flooding in one of the most flood-prone regions of the country. Swelling rivers passed their breaking points, causing powerful flash floods to race through summer camps and neighborhoods overnight. At least 139 people were killed, including at least 17 people across Travis, Williamson, and Burnett counties. A year later, the bodies of multiple people who were swept away have still not been found, including Seal Stewart, the 8-year-old from Austin, was a camper at Camp Mystic in Kerr County. Her parents, Will and Cece Stewart, released a statement ahead of the 1-year mark, saying in part, quote, "We still don't know how we will face that morning, but we know we will not face it alone, because in the wreckage of the Guadalupe River, there are still people searching, still refusing to leave our daughter behind. Their faithfulness is the reason we can meet that day at all. Thank you to each and every one of you," end quote. We are hearing from first responders who answered the call in Sandy Creek that day and in Kerrville on July 4th. Adam Bennett shares their memories and how they're moving forward.
On July 4th, 2025, Austin Travis County EMS Captain Ross Copeland was staged in New Braunfels after being activated by a state task force when his water squad leader called around 5 a.m.
Hey guys, San Antonio lost both their vehicles. Get to Kerrville as quick as possible.
But en route to rescue, Copeland says silt from the water caused motor failure in his team's boat. A team member fell overboard, and then after rescuing him, their boat washed into a tree.
I still don't believe how we got this thing started. Got it started and drove out of this water.
Next, Copeland says, several more challenges out of their control. Communication breakdowns.
It was almost like we were in a self-dispatch phase of rescue.
Non-actionable intelligence.
Meaning someone would call a friend and say, hey, I'm trapped in a tree, I need help. But we had no way of finding them because they didn't know themselves where they were.
And limited access to Kerrville from their staging point.
We were 1 second late over and over again for 24 hours.
Copeland says there were no rescues, only recoveries for his special operations unit over the next 14 days.
We held on to the fact that we're bringing closure to the families, and that was the #1 priority.
Back in Austin, early in the morning, July 5th. Austin Travis County EMS Commander Kim Griffith rushed to Sandy Creek in northwest Travis County after hearing the calls for water rescues.
It's one of those things you can't fully understand until you actually get to see it and experience it yourself.
She remembers blinding rain, rising low water crossings, and jumbled radio traffic.
Usually phones are the backup, but you would have to be inside to use it, so you had to jump in and out and hope the phone screen was working.
Griffith says she assessed medical needs of people pulled out of the water, shared safe routes in for the ambulances where victims could dry off, and then looked for a safer place for them to go next. She says she cold called a nearby HEB just 15 minutes before they opened.
Can I use your store? And the response was, yes, absolutely. Great, when can I be there? As soon as you need. I will see you in 15 minutes. And we just loaded everybody in ambulances and did a caravan.
Looking back 1 year later, Copeland credits his team's training beforehand, their debrief afterwards.
Hey, we could have done this better, we should have done this better. Next time we need to carry this equipment with us.
And both medics say resources made available for mental health.
If you're able to talk to people that were there, it can be really helpful for closure and just knowing what happened.
To help them move forward, ready to respond to the next call. Adam Bennett, KVUE News.
Thanks, Adam. A Sandy Creek neighbor who survived the disaster is now taking flood safety into his own hands. He's building a warning system he hopes will give families precious extra minutes to get to safety. Here's KVUE's Jessica Cha.
Living in the country is priceless to Daryl Levlon.
This place is an amazing place to get raised. All the fun activities, all the woods you can go run around in.
But Sandy Creek,
See how much land I got eroded away from the water?
paid a heavy price last 4th of July weekend. What started as rain on the night of July 4th ended with many homes flooding from water that overflowed from Big Sandy Creek by July 5th.
And all I see is just water as far as I could see. And I could see like a structure, it looked like a structure of a house floating by. And it was like, I shut the door because water was coming in, and it's like, it's too late. We're we're gonna die.
Homes washed away,
It was just destroyed because of all the water rushing through it.
belongings lost,
Most of our cars are gone
and for some families, the cost was greater.
because we already had buried so many people, like friends of my daughters, you know, the whole family. It just, it breaks your heart. Yep, breaks your heart. I couldn't imagine. And I don't want it to get there. That's why I'm doing something about it.
A few weeks ago, Levlon, who has a background in engineering, got the idea to build some peace of mind.
This is, of course, the light for strobing, and this is the horn.
He says he couldn't find a flood warning system to buy online.
One night I woke up, I'm like, I'm making one. I gotta have something. I want to make a few of them for me and my neighbors to go off to give us a little more notification ahead of time before, you know, it's too late.
So with some technology,
And then it'll start alarming the sound as soon as it floats up.
So
So it's roughly about 3.5 feet above the water level. So I think that's probably where I'm going to mount it.
he's paying the price.
It costs like $200-300 to build it, you know what I mean? On all just the parts. And I don't care. If it's going to save their life, I don't care. I'm going to do it. You know what I mean?
Because he says the lives who live out in this part of the country are priceless. In Sandy Creek, Jessica Chung, KB News.
And in another part of Central Texas, people came together to honor the lives lost and help families continue on their road to recovery. Here's KVUE's Allison Hill from Green.
Across the country, people are celebrating America's 250th birthday. But for many here in Texas, this 4th of July marks something very different.
It really put everything into perspective, how something can happen so fast, how a beautiful, happy day can quickly turn into one of Texas's biggest nightmares, disasters.
Saturday marks 1 year since devastating floods took the lives of more than 100 people in the Texas Hill Country. In Green, people from near and far spent the afternoon looking back on that day, and the effort's still underway.
While we wanted to celebrate, we also have to keep in mind that a lot of people are still struggling. A lot of people still need help. And so we've been talking about it all year, what we can do to help going forward.
The Green Hall Independence Day celebration, full of food, games, and live music, benefits the Kerr County Flood Relief Fund.
I think it's for a great cause. I feel like there's so many families who are grieving, and I don't mind us being here to help benefit them.
Even a year later, the need hasn't ended, and many say they want those impacted to know they're not forgotten.
And everybody's still praying for all those people and still supporting all those people, because we can't even imagine what they've been through.
Those people that lost their kids, could you imagine
sad.
sending your daughter to a camp and they don't come back?
In Green, Allison Hill, KVUE News.
That's all from us here in Austin. I'm Darrenisha Heron.
I'm Teresa Woodard with your headlines from North Texas. After a police canine's death, his former handler is now facing charges. The dog and the officer both worked for the Fairfield Police Department about 90 miles south of Dallas. But court documents say the dog was locked in a hot car in Ennis. According to investigators, Officer Joseph Silas came home from an overnight shift last month and locked Canine Officer Farrock in his patrol car. Investigators say Silas fell asleep and woke up the next afternoon to find the dog dead. Authorities arrested Silas for animal cruelty, and Fairfield police fired him the same day. Farrock was Fairfield's first ever canine. A single father is starting over after a fire destroyed his home in Grapevine. Adriana De Alba shows us how his community stepped up in a big way.
It's a bummer, for sure. Just the devastation.
This isn't just what a fire leaves behind.
Because fire, I've never experienced a fire, so it's not something that I ever thought about.
It's what a family is left to rebuild.
It just feels kind of surreal when you walk in there and you just see everything destroyed.
A collapsed ceiling, room after room wiped out. Last Tuesday, a fire started in the home Jordan Seaman rents on West Hudgens Street in Grapevine. Investigators say that fire started in the attic, and the cause still under investigation. The single dad of two young boys is just thankful they weren't home when the flames started.
By the time I actually saw the flames, it was going pretty good. Very fast, yeah. Within a matter of 5 or 10 minutes.
Everything they own damaged and destroyed, and he didn't have renter's insurance. Then a neighbor started a GoFundMe, and help hasn't stopped pouring in.
Not only did the Grapevine firefighters battle the blaze, they then took it a step further to help this family bounce back.
A surprise cash donation from the Grapevine Firefighters Association.
The donation blew me away. I couldn't believe it. And I wasn't expecting the reception that we got and all of the people coming forward.
What's left of this house is a reminder of everything they lost.
It's crazy when you see the devastating power that fire can have.
But what's happened since may be what they remember most.
So much good has come out of this.
In Grapevine, I'm Adriana de Alba.
A North Texas veteran is reflecting on surviving war and showing resilience as he prepares to say I do. As Kevin Reese shows us, he calls July 4th his Alive Day, 16 years after surviving a devastating IED in Afghanistan.
Ears ringing. I tried to stand up. It was difficult.
Tom Henderson has a bit of a love-hate relationship with the 4th of July.
I think a lot of people take it for granted as just a day that you get to blow stuff up.
Because 16 years ago on July 4th, he was the one blown up.
Little did I know later in the day I would be the fireworks show.
An IED explosion in Afghanistan ripped through the Navy corpsman's body.
I figured I had some form of concussion. I noticed that my foot was no longer attached to my body.
His right leg would be amputated above the knee, and he had a traumatic brain injury, hearing loss, PTSD. But he also had help. An organization called the Simplify and America's Fund.
Very helpful in guiding me towards a more positive outlook that was beneficial rather than harmful.
The fund helped him financially and bought him a hand cycle to help get his life back on track.
This bike has gotten me through 5 different marathons
and
so far.
Helping now.
We're 7 days away, yep.
His fiancée, Rebecca, taking him on July 4th to a quiet cabin as far from fireworks as they can possibly get.
That day is a day to celebrate him as much as anything else. So I feel like he deserves to be able to enjoy it in peace.
Peace on what he calls his Alive Day, Saturday. They will also call it his Sweet 16.
We even have his Sweet 16 topper over there ready.
It's 16 years from the day that I didn't die.
Tom Henderson does want the nation to celebrate July 4th and all that it means, but he hopes veterans like him hear this message.
You don't have to face things alone. It's okay to reach out for help.
Help on Independence Day that so many of our veterans need. In Forney, I'm Kevin Reese.
A unique part of America's story is our connection to other nations, like the piece of British history that lives here in North Texas. Joan Puneker shows us how one couple connected with their legacy by making a trip across the pond.
And there they are. Jeez.
The Craven family took many years and many more miles to get here, to piece together a missing part of their family history.
It really is quite special, you know?
From England to Terrell, Texas, a journey for answers.
Nobody's ever been from the family in 80 years.
This is the British Flying Training School Museum.
I'll be seeing you.
And the answers sit on walls, on tables, even the tarmac.
It is historically the first of 6 schools. So would this be the barracks or the
Yes.
where they?
Yep.
Colin's uncle Raymond Botcher was one of many British cadets.
The trainer would sit there in the second seat.
Taught to fly here during World War II.
Thank you for being here. I'm getting emotional even thinking about it.
On September 3rd, 1945, one day after Japan surrendered, Cadet Botcher received his wings.
But some never saw combat.
Just not the ones he trained for.
It's to the stage whereby, you know, you just don't want to talk about it. You don't mention it, you know? So we didn't.
Killed in a training flight not far from here.
There he is.
Cadet Botcher will forever be 21 years old.
They were all so young.
This chapel honors the nearly 24 cadets killed in training.
I probably still have more questions when I leave.
But I also see your mum in that picture.
Yeah.
The eyes and, you know, the look.
The Cravens have come this far.
Finally go and pay our respects.
Now, just a little further. A few miles from the museum in Terrell.
It's all kept very up together, isn't it?
Raymond Botcher's final resting place.
Absolutely. Oh, 80 years we waited for that. Yeah, we're the only ones in all that time.
Or so they thought.
There's a coin on the top, see that? What's the significance of the coin?
The coins on the headstones tell them someone has been here.
Doesn't feel like we're here in Texas. For some reason, I don't know, it feels like we're at home.
Yeah.
They flew thousands of miles from England only to be right at home. In Terrell, Texas, I'm Jobin Puniker.
We have good news for thrill seekers. Six Flags Over Texas in Arlington will open its record-breaking roller coaster Thursday, July 9th. Park officials say Tormenta is the tallest, fastest, and longest dive coaster in the world. Riders go well over 300 feet high before that thrilling first drop. The roller coaster is the centerpiece of a new village called Rancho de la Tormenta in the park's Spain area. I won't be trying it out. Those are your headlines from North Texas.
Hey there, y'all. I'm meteorologist Kristen Walla. Here are your Texas headlines heading into this week. Of course, it is summer, so hot and humid weather is expected statewide, but also, and especially for the coast and over towards East Texas, hit and miss rain with some daily rain chances. And then towards the end of the week, another plume of Saharan dust likely to come in and make things hazy again. So over the next 3 days, here's a look at some high temperatures across the state. Corpus Christi staying in the lower 90s as that humidity keeps their high temperatures down just a bit. But you get out towards El Paso and up towards the Panhandle where they're a bit drier. Their high temperatures able to go up into the upper 90s and even triple digits. In Austin, we've got upper 90s and they have yet to hit the 100-degree mark, but that could be possible going into later this week. A pair of 99s in their forecast. So of course it is summer. We are hot here in central Texas, all thanks to high pressure, not only off to our west, but one also off towards our east. Now, I do want to point out real quick, this little area of low pressure will prompt a low severe risk, mainly over Arkansas, but a little bit of the Arklatex area also included for your Monday. So going forward, those high pressures dance right around the Lone Star State over to our west and to our east, keeping things nice and hot here in the state. So I also want to point out the airflow around this eastern high pressure. Notice how it's coming from the Caribbean, across the Gulf and into Texas. That is where the Saharan dust is going to come from. But more on the temperatures and rain, then I'll jump over to that dust. Going into the rest of our month, the next 2 weeks or so, we're still anticipating high temperatures above where they should be. So if your high temperatures are normally in the mid-90s, you've likely been seeing upper 90s, and that will continue into the next 8 to 14 days. Here's a check of Futurecast for your Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. As I mentioned, a lot of that rain sticking to the coast and East Texas, a little bit out towards the hill country. But overnight, notice each and every morning we see a lot less activity. This is all afternoon heat-driven stuff. So going into Wednesday, again, we see quiet conditions into the overnight and morning hours, and by the afternoon, we'll be checking out a little bit more activity. Here's a check on the tropics. We're not anticipating any tropical development as of yesterday evening, and here's that big plume of Saharan dust anticipated to make its way around that high and into Texas going into later this coming week, likely around the Wednesday, Thursday timeframe. Here's a check of your forecast around the state. Out west, high temperatures each and every day being in the upper 90s to low 100s. Out towards the south in the valley, high temperatures very similar, but a little more humid there. So feels like temperatures, of course it is summer, but they're going to stay pretty elevated in the triple digits. Make sure you're practicing heat safety and staying hydrated.
Let's take a look at today's headlines from Houston. I'm Ugochi Iloka. Starting with new insight into a deadly chain of events on I-45 that led to the death of a Montgomery County deputy. A second man is now facing charges in the crash on Sunday morning that set it all in motion. Investigators say he caused the initial wreck and took off as deputies worked the scene. Another crash killed a Montgomery County deputy. Authorities say he later made up a story about what happened. Megan Reyna shares the latest on the investigation.
And what we want to do is to get to the right answer.
Montgomery County District Attorney Michael Hawley, in an interview Tuesday, said this was a complex case and more charges could be filed. That same day, this man, 31-year-old Oluwatobaloa Sofela, was taken into custody. Early Sunday morning off I-45 north of Woodlands Parkway, investigators say Sofela was going 101 miles per hour in his Tesla when he crashed into the back of a Toyota Camry. Multiple vehicles stopped to help. Moments later, they say a suspected drunk driver in a Ford F-150 crashed into the Camry again. Deputy Erica Serrato responded to the scene. Authorities say while she was directing traffic, a 20-year-old driver in a commercial truck would hit and kill her. When investigators began piecing together the complicated crash scene, they found an empty Tesla that reportedly reeked of alcohol and marijuana. According to the charging documents, Sofela was seen on nearby surveillance cameras fleeing the scene after about 5 minutes with what appeared to be license plates in his hand. They say he never checked on the driver he allegedly hit. Hours after the crash, he is accused of calling Houston police to report his Tesla stolen in downtown Houston. But investigators say at the time of the crash, he had his GPS set to his home address. On Sunday morning, they spoke with Sofela, who insisted he was downtown visiting a friend when his Tesla was stolen. On Tuesday, they showed a screenshot of a surveillance video to the suspect's father, who, according to documents, confirmed it was his son running from the crash site. Sofela is facing collision involving injury and tampering with physical evidence charges. His bond is set at $100,000.
That was Megan Reyna reporting. We're working to find out more about the protocol behind Katy High School officials entering a 15-year-old student's house without his mom being home. The district says they were doing a residency verification, but did they follow protocol? Orko Manna has been pushing for answers from Katy ISD about what that protocol looks like. He also spoke with our legal analysts and other area school districts.
Katy ISD did not respond to my specific questions about why school officials entered the student's home when he was alone. Experts say the rules surrounding residency checks are up to each district, but some districts' policies are more transparent than others.
Katy ISD, Katy High School.
Ring camera footage shows Katy High School's principal and a district police officer knocking on a student's door Tuesday, trying to do a residency check.
Hi. Hey, how are you? Sweetheart.
The 15-year-old answers the door and is told this.
I'm Dr. Hull. Okay, so I just have to do a residency verification. So basically, I just have to see where your room is, if that's okay. Is it okay if I come in? Okay.
But the student's mother tells us he was alone and she wasn't notified. We spoke with KHOU 11 legal analyst Carmen Rowe.
Should a school district have done this with no legal guardian present?
Well, see, that's the issue. I think the reasonableness of the law enforcement officer, the school principal, coming into a home when they knew and were told that only a 15-year-old was inside the residence is the issue here.
The Education Code of the Texas Constitution states that districts may require evidence to prove people are eligible to attend a certain public school and that they, quote, may make reasonable inquiries to verify a person's eligibility for admission. The Texas Education Agency states that the verification measures are based on that district's policies, but there's little to no information about the rules when it comes to entering a home. Katy ISD says, quote, the district is aware of the residency verification. Individuals who submit an affidavit of bona fide residence acknowledge that the district may conduct residency verification as outlined in the affidavit. But the affidavit document does not mention anything about going inside a house.
Was it lawful? We need to know more about the school policies to see if this activity was in line with those policies.
I also reached out to several other school districts in the region about their policies. Only Pearland ISD got back to me. They say in-person visits are occasionally necessary, usually triggered by poor attendance, but they say school officials will never enter a student's home without a legal guardian present, and they will not ask to see the student's bedroom. The big question is what specifically in Katy ISD's policy?
If it is a policy that permits them to do this type of thing, I think it needs to be revisited.
Reporting from Katy, Orkomana, KHOU 11 News.
Houston's World Cup chapter may be over, but the excitement around the game is far from it. After weeks of watching some of the world's best players, one position stood out to us, the goalkeeper. So our Ron Trevino decided to see just how tough that job really is with a little help from Houston Dash and U.S. national team star Jane Campbell.
It's been said the goalkeeper is the loneliest player in soccer, in perhaps the most demanding position in all of sports.
Saved by Campbell!
Jane Campbell of the Houston Dash, a member of the U.S. women's national team. She tells me she loves the pressure and loves being a goalkeeper because she gets to use her hands.
The fact that you can pick the ball up.
Yeah, I can do everything a field player can, and I can touch the ball with my hands.
Oh, Campbell fingertip save.
No one else can do that. I could score if I wanted, I can save a ball, I can catch a ball. No one else can do that except me.
You gotta make the wrist tight. There you go.
We're only going half speed, you know.
No, we're going full on. No.
The Dash goalkeeping coach, Matt Pickens, he played for years on a number of MLS teams.
Is it the loneliest job out there on the pitch?
I guess it depends how you look at it. Glass half full or half
Were you
empty.
a lonely man out there on the pitch?
Sometimes, yeah.
I'm talking about soccer.
Yeah.
Pickens gives me a quick lesson because why not?
I would want your hip depth to be a little bit lower because you don't know where the ball's going to go.
Lower the hip.
So you need to activate those glutes. Yeah.
The glutes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do I still have glutes?
We start easy
There you go.
with some measure of success.
Hold on.
There you go.
My Apple Watch is saying, have you fallen?
Oh.
Watch removed, I'm ready for more. It's all about the body position and structure.
Slow down. A little better.
Like that?
Yeah, a little bit. Not very graceful. There you go. Ready?
Yeah.
Nice. There you go. Good. The one hand grab. There you go. Oh, that's why you got to close those hands quick. There you go.
Coming in hot, baby.
There you go.
But can I score on Matt Pickens, goalkeeping coach of the Dash?
Let me get a little closer.
There you go. You scored. Boom.
I'm no all-star yet. Hey, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Need more workout here.
Need more workout?
Yeah, more hours here.
The core, is it the core? Is it the hips?
Mobility.
Mobility?
Yeah, I think mobility.
Mobility.
I'll work on that. Ron Trevino, KHOU 11 News.
Good stuff, dude.
That's a wrap for your Houston headlines. I'm Ugochi Iloka.
I'm Bill Churchwell in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's happening in South Texas. Over in Robstown, video was captured by bystanders and is raising new questions and concerns about how a woman's arrest by federal immigration agents all unfolded. Cell phone video shows the moment ICE agents took Marina Claros into custody outside Lucy's taco stand after a Robstown police officer asked her to step outside, telling her that her vehicle had been hit. Claros was working when she was arrested on an outstanding deportation order. It has sparked outrage in the community and prompted Robstown's police chief to acknowledge that the department violated the public's trust. Michael Gibson explains.
Lucia Rodriguez has owned her taco stand here in Robstown for a number of decades. And the other day, her best friend was taken away by ICE, and she doesn't exactly know what she's going to do now.
Mrs. Rodriguez is not only the owner, but she's also the cook. She says her good friend and only employee, Marina Claros, was working with her on Tuesday when a Robstown police officer got Marina to go outside saying her car had been hit, but instead ICE agents were waiting to arrest her on a deportation order. Lucia's granddaughter translated for her grandmother about her thoughts on the arrest of her friend.
She's been like family here with us for a lot of years, and yeah, she just loves her a lot, and most importantly for her son, her disabled son that has been that needs her mostly at home, and we're just praying over all the situation, and hopefully, she gets what she needs to find a lawyer and take care of her son.
The arrest of Marina Claros has many people in Robstown upset. They describe her as a hardworking woman who was helping support her family, including her severely disabled son.
Without any political noise or help, these things will fall on deaf ears. Immediately, what the family wants to see, obviously, is for the mother who has been following the processes to be returned to her child.
I also spoke with residents like Michelle Valenzuela, who say that Robstown police have definitely lost the community's trust over what happened.
We just got a new police chief that is pushing for trust us, talk to us, let's have a bond. That was totally wrong. That's the biggest thing people are upset about.
Police Chief Mike Tamez had this response to Mrs. Valenzuela's criticism.
I think she's 100% correct. We definitely violated the trust that our police department, our police officers have to have with the community. I'm never going to disagree with that. When I came in, that was my biggest platform, man.
The police chief tells 3 News he's now working on a new policy for officers to follow, even though he says he had already ordered them not to actively participate in ICE operations.
How do you keep this from happening again then? Yeah. If you gave an order as a chief and they disobeyed it, how do you have control of these guys then?
Policy.
Are you going to have to change the policy to deal with this?
Yes, absolutely I am.
Okay.
Chief Tamez hopes to have that new policy in place soon to clearly spell out how officers should respond if they're contacted by ICE agents in the future. Michael Gibson, 3 News.
And that's a quick look at some of what's happening in South Texas.
I'm Adriana Alexander. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. The U.S. Army is investigating multiple smoke shops near Fort Hood for illegal substances. The Criminal Investigations Division says it raided 4 shops Wednesday in Killeen and Coppers Cove, seizing thousands of suspected illegal THC, marijuana, and synthetic cannabinoid products. And here in this picture, investigators took guns from those shops as well. The CID hopes the investigation will keep soldiers battle ready by cutting off their supply of illegal drugs. Football season always comes with hard hits, but Gatesville High School is taking new steps to keep players safer on the field. Thanks to a donation from Coriel Health, every player in the high school program now has a custom-fit helmet designed to track impacts and help coaches respond faster when a player may be hurt. Here's 6 News sports reporter Madison Palumbo with a closer look.
Every football season comes with bumps and bruises. For Gatesville senior Draven Henderson, last year included a shoulder injury that kept him focused on getting healthy for another season. Now he says stepping onto the field feels a little different.
It definitely gives you like a safety reassurance to just think about what's my assignment, what do I need to do, and carry out your task and not have to worry so much about am I going to get hurt.
Thanks to a major donation from Coriel Health, every player in the high school program now has a custom-fit Rydell Axiom helmet. The new state-of-the-art helmets feature built-in technology that measures where and how hard players are hit, giving coaches valuable data to monitor impacts and identify potentially dangerous collisions.
And by Rydell's metrics, any severe impact, we get an immediate notification on a cell phone device, and we pull that student athlete and we have them observed and looked at by our trainer to see if they do in fact have a concussion.
According to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, nearly 63% of all concussions in high school football are from tackles. For head coach Jose Aguirre, he says keeping his players healthy is a victory that matters far more than anything reflected on the scoreboard.
We've been able to give every single kid in the high school program an axiom. So for me, I want to be able to look a parent in the eye and let them know that we're doing everything possible to keep their son safe in this game.
The helmets normally cost around $900 each and include built-in sensors that send alerts after severe impacts, allowing athletic trainers to immediately evaluate players if needed. The helmet also helps trainers detect concussions much quicker. coach says the technology is already making an impact beyond the equipment itself. Last season's data helped coaches reinforce proper tackling techniques and monitor player safety throughout the year.
We were able to show kids what part of the helmet they were using and the part that we wanted them to use instead of what they were using. So it's made the game safer.
While the new helmets bring a peace of mind for players and parents, they also bring excitement as the Hornets prepare for a new season.
Everyone's in the same mindset, getting ready for the season and getting ready to go win.
Gatesville will kick off their season against Lampasas. For 6 Sports, I'm Madison Palumbo.
And those are your headlines from Central Texas. I'm Vanessa Croy, and this is the news in San Antonio. Violence unfolding this holiday weekend. 6 people shot at an East Side apartment complex. One of the victims died later at the hospital. And police say 2 of the other victims caught in the crossfire are children. The violence unfolding around 10:30 Saturday night off the corner of Lamar Street and North Mittman, just blocks away from the Frost Bank Center. According to San Antonio police, at least 3 suspects were walking near that complex when police say multiple gunmen started shooting, unleashing a barrage of bullets toward the property. 6 people in total were hit. Police say an 18-year-old man died later at the hospital. They also tell us 2 children, a 5-year-old girl and a 12-year-old girl, also caught in the crossfire and rushed to the hospital. Police say the victims' injuries are critical. Detectives say they're still trying to figure out what led up to the gunfire. They say some people were detained on the scene for questioning, but so far, no arrests have been made. 3 people were detained on Friday after San Antonio police say a man was stabbed in the face at a West Side apartment complex. The chaotic scene unfolding around 5 on Friday off the 1100 block of Bandera Road. That's where officers say they got a call for a shooting and then moments later a call for a stabbing, all at the same complex. When officers got there, they say they found a 47-year-old man with a cut to his face near his mouth. They say the victim is expected to survive. He was alert and talking to officers on the scene. And using a description provided by that victim, officers say they were able to track down 3 suspects at a nearby game room along Bandera Road. Police say all 3 were detained as suspects in the case. Investigators say they still haven't found any shooting victims, and at this point, they don't even think a shooting happened. But at last check, detectives are still trying to piece together the pieces of this puzzle to figure out what really happened. Deputies investigating what they believe was a murder-suicide on the Southwest Side. Sheriff Javier Salazar says an adult child of one of the victims made the heartbreaking discovery Friday night. KENS 5's Mike Jimenez has the latest.
Sheriff Salazar says the child last spoke with her parent on Thursday, and when they went to check on them, that's when they found the 2 dead.
Deputies say it was around 8:30 Friday night when they were called out to the 15,000 block of Escalante Pass. That's near Watson Road in Von Army. Inside the home, deputies say they found the bodies of a 50-year-old woman and a 58-year-old man who had both been shot.
This is quite possibly a married couple that lives in that residence. At this point, the female is believed to be a victim of a homicide. The male is believed to have died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Sheriff Salazar says they believe there is a history of domestic violence between the 2. Neighbor Onesimo Abrego says he never saw signs himself.
I'm just surprised. And I mean, like I said, he was a quiet guy. You wouldn't think, you know, and all of a sudden it just happens.
Salazar says domestic violence is an escalating crime. In 2025, there were 15 homicides, with 9 believed to be domestic violence related, according to Sheriff Salazar. And that trend has continued into 2026.
I believe we're up to 10 homicides for the year, 5 of which are believed to be domestic violence related.
Sheriff Salazar says domestic violence doesn't go away. And many times the sheriff office has seen those situations escalate to the point to where it becomes a homicide.
Somebody's got to make the concerted effort to get out of that situation, unfortunately. And then, you know, we will certainly help. We've got services available to help. All we need is for those that are in need of domestic violence services to give us a call, 210-335-6000.
Mike Jimenez, KENS 5.
In Karnes County, a mother was killed as she was driving to work. She's left behind a husband and 3 children. The head-on crash happening last Thursday off Highway 181 in Hobson Road. It killed 40-year-old April Green. DPS says 3 siblings and another vehicle also died in the crash. DPS also tells us that one of the siblings was sleep impaired, crossing into the other lane of traffic and caused the crash, leaving the Green family devastated. April's husband, Jeffrey, says she was the family's primary provider and the heart of their home.
Our love was so deep, it almost feels like, it was a love at first sight kind of thing, like she was my twin flame, and there'd be nobody like her ever, she'll always live in my heart.
Jeffrey also tells us the family is still planning to take their yearly trip to Port Aransas. They say there this year they are going to fulfill April's final wish of having her ashes spread in the ocean. And since April was the financial rock for her family, they're also now facing funeral costs and bills piling up. A meal train and a spot fund have been set up to help them. Go to KENS5.com if you'd like to help. And he's the voice we often hear during major investigations, chases, and public safety alerts. And now a local Texas DPS sergeant is being honored with a national award. Sergeant Orlando De Luna Jr. has won first place in a national competition featuring police agencies from across the country. The award was presented during the annual Uniformed Safety Education Officers Workshop in Iowa. It's an event that brings together state police agencies from across the country. Well, De Luna took home the top honor in the radio public service announcement category for his message on school bus safety. DPS tells us the competition tests officers' ability to communicate important safety information to the public. And De Luna, well, he told us the award reflects the work of an entire team.
It's great, and I can't just take all the credit. I have a great team, the Central Texas Regional team, our lieutenant, everyone in Austin that backs us up. It's just great to be part of a great police association, great police organization and department that allows me to do this.
And a big congratulations to Sergeant De Luna from all of us here at KENS 5. And that's your news here in San Antonio.
Here, headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Ebony Coleman. A 22-day-old baby is back with his mom 2 weeks after he was taken by his father. Take a look at the emotional reunion.
If you see anything wrong, I'll give you my cell phone. Just give me a call.
It happened in Beaumont with Jefferson County Precinct 1 Constable J.C. Pollard's office. Helping the reunion, 12 News reporter Daniela Taboada Plau spoke to the constable about the case.
Make sure no one's following you.
After being more than 600 miles away from each other, a mother and her baby were finally reunited in Beaumont. A successful reunion thanks to a multi-agency effort led by Jefferson County Constable J.C. Pollard.
I was actually at a conference in Sugar Land when we heard that this one was potentially coming through.
She thought it was going to be business as usual until...
What's the target? What's the mark? An 8-day-old baby. I said, all right, I'm headed back.
The constable says that she doesn't have the details on the case, but a court order was issued to return the child from his father back to his mother, who lives in Lubbock.
The petition was made on behalf of the fact that she was actively nursing the baby. So if you're nursing a baby, you're not going to tell somebody you can keep it for a couple of days.
Within almost 20 hours of receiving the notice, Constable Pollard says her office, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, and the Beaumont Police Department had the baby.
The stakes are high. All of us, for the most part, are parents, and you're thinking in the back of your head, if somebody came to get my kid, you're not going to get my kid. And so, those are things that go through your mind.
The baby was with his father in Beaumont at a family member's home, where he was recovered safely and peacefully.
It was right about 8:50. We went over to the house, and we were able to get the baby. Without incident, without anybody being hurt, without any issues.
Pollard says the recovery took no more than 10 minutes, completing a successful and harmless mission that not only brought relief to the baby's mother, but to law enforcement officers.
I haven't held a baby in 20 years. And so to hold a baby that you went to take and it was just the best outcome possible, the relief was unreal.
That was Daniela Taboada Plow reporting. Constable Pollard says after the exchange with the mother, deputies did escort her all the way to Harris County to make sure they were safe as they made their way back to the Panhandle. And 3 men were arrested in connection to a drive-by shooting in Beaumont. Police say someone pulled up to a home on Hector Avenue and started shooting before driving away. One woman in her vehicle was caught in the gunfire but not hurt. Police tell us the Real-Time Crime Center helped locate 3 suspects and their car in the 5,000 block of Helbig Road. Cameron Mays, Keith Malone, and Joshua Roballer were arrested and charged with aggravated assault, among other charges. Police say a 4th man in the car, Kalen DeCombri, was not involved in the shooting, but he was also arrested on an active warrant for solicitation of murder. And as we mark 1 year since the Texas Hill Country's floods claimed more than 100 lives, we remember the local lives that were lost. 27 people at Camp Mystic alone died, including 8-year-old Mary Grace Baker of Beaumont. We also followed the search for a group of local teens, Joyce Baden, Ella Cahill, and Aiden Hartfield in Reese, Makaka. During the storms, parts of Kerr County recorded more than 20 inches of rain, and the Guadalupe River rose roughly 26 feet in less than an hour. And for several cities across our area that celebrate America's 250th anniversary, it was a night filled with family fun. In Beaumont, the city held what they call the largest fireworks display in Southeast Texas at the Downtown Event Center. They had live entertainment, food trucks, and family-friendly activities. We spoke to one resident who says she couldn't wait to celebrate her country.
It's definitely a special day. We're celebrating the 250th birthday of the United States of America. We came here for the good food, for the fireworks, and enjoying the music, and just a good ambiance all around.
The Symphony of Southeast Texas also hosted a free patriotic concert at the Julia Rogers Theater. And in Port Arthur, fireworks also filled the skies during Lamar State College's 4th of July celebration at the Seawall. It was a night of family fun as residents were also able to enjoy free food and games. And those are your headlines from Southeast Texas.
Hello, I'm Nayeli Carrillo, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. The 3rd annual Thunder Over East Texas Air Show returned to East Texas on Friday. Organizers say this event gave visitors a chance to see aviation history come to life. CBS 19's Blake Neubauer has more.
The roar of military aircrafts may be what draws crowds to the Thunder Over East Texas Air Show, but organizers say the real purpose is supporting veterans and military families. For more than 2 decades, the Cedar Creek Veterans Foundation has used the event to raise money for organizations that serve those who have sacrificed themselves for our country.
But I wanted to have a higher purpose, so with a lot of help from a lot of volunteers, we started the Cedar Creek Veterans Foundation.
Beyond raising money, Ball says the event gives families a chance to experience military history in a way that books and movies simply can't.
It's not in a movie. You can, when it starts up, you smell the smoke, you hear the rumble of the engine, you feel it on the ground, so forth. It's an experience.
Organizers hope the experience also inspires the next generation while honoring the sacrifices of those who came before them.
It teaches history, inspires the next generation, raises great funds for some really good causes for our veterans in East Texas.
After a day filled with parades, festivals, and fireworks across East Texas, many families are looking back on a memorable 4th of July. Thousands gathered at the Park of East Texas for July 4th, where CBS 19's Blake Neubauer reports.
From children running through festival grounds to families grabbing dinner from food trucks, the Park of East Texas was packed with patriotic spirit this 4th of July. Local vendors lined the park, live music kept the crowd entertained throughout the evening, and people spread out on lawn chairs and blankets hours before sunset to secure the perfect spot for one of the biggest fireworks shows in East Texas. For many, the celebration offered a chance to enjoy America's 250th birthday, surrounded by friends, family, and the East Texas community.
Fun, exciting.
This is the first year Tyler's Firework Festival is in the Park of East Texas. More room for people means more fun. While the fireworks were the main attraction, many families said the evening was about much more than what happens after dark. From sharing a meal and letting children enjoy the activities to simply spending time together outside, the celebration created an opportunity for neighbors and newcomers alike to experience the sense of community that brings people back year after year.
You know, we're new to Texas, but we just love how friendly everybody's been, and we just keep finding that here.
While some have celebrated Independence Day in several different places over the years, Tyler's event quickly rose to the top of his list. People credit the welcoming atmosphere, family-friendly activities, and the chance to celebrate alongside thousands of fellow East Texans is what makes the holiday feel so memorable.
I would say so. It's probably one of the best ones I've had in years. Yeah, it's just beautiful out here. I mean, the weather's great. It's hot, but the wind has got a cool breeze, so the setting I think, couldn't be beat.
As daylight faded, anticipation turned to applause as the first fireworks launched into the night sky. The colorful display capped off an evening filled with music, food, and family fun, giving thousands of East Texas a patriotic ending to their Independence Day celebration.
The 4th also brought hundreds to Canton on a weekend that's usually already packed for trade days. It all started with a watermelon eating contest and a parade downtown. Then the celebration moved to First Monday grounds, where families braved the Texas heat to shop, eat, and admire dozens of classic vehicles. Some owners we spoke to tell us this is part of their family history.
Okay, this is a 1953 Ford F-100, and my grandfather bought this truck new. And it's been in my family all these years. You know, we're celebrating the America's birthday, 250 years. So what a way to do it, but have a car show.
They also say events like this are about more than the vehicles. They're about sharing their passion with the community. And as the sun went down, so many people sat down on blankets and lawn chairs to watch a fireworks show that lit up the East Texas sky. That's a wrap of your East Texas headlines. I'm Nayeli Carrillo.